Welcome to another video discussing FX buses, and this time it is going to be the lines, more line possibilities and the future of FX. It's no secret at all that Trimet wants to expand this FX thing into a little mini network. I have my own opinions, of course, but I'm going to break this video up into three sections. Increasing standard bus service to 60-foot higher capacity service, streetcar lines, and then FX candidates. Okay, so Trimet is a bit lacking in the 60-foot department because we have exactly 0 60-foot buses meant for the city routes. Sure, we have the 60-foot Nova buses for FX, but that's a big step from just going, oh, here's some 40-foot buses, and boom, here's BRT. There's nothing in the middle. Trimet, like I said in the last video, Trimet will be getting some more Nova buses, 60-foot Nova buses, for use on the busier routes, and I believe we're supposed to get them over the next few years. I don't really know specifics on the timeline of that, but I would put them on these routes in this general order. Now, these are all routes that, I would start with frequent service, and some other routes that maybe are not frequent yet. Hopefully we can improve that. So, now some extra notes on some of these. So, line 72s, I would have definitely 60-foot buses. This is Trimet's busiest route. Except I don't know if they're as necessary on the shorter trips that only go to Killingsworth and 72nd. Line 75. This might be a bit difficult because of the amount of windy roads and things like that. Line 8. Now, the reason I've put line 8 so low on this list is because, once again, it might be difficult driving these things on Markham Hill. I would imagine especially in the winterier and sketchier weather. Line 94 is not currently a frequent service route, and I would only do the articulated buses on weekdays only where the line actually continues to Portland. And the rest of those are also not really frequent service routes yet, but easily could be. This is extreme, there's a lot of routes on here, and it's more than just the existing frequent service routes. Okay, so now from here, these are some routes that I would convert into streetcar routes. So I would start by getting a bunch of articulated buses on these routes, and then after a while, taking some of those and making them streetcar routes. Now, the reason why these are streetcars is to create an even higher capacity. If you design these streetcars right, using the 12 elements that I talked about, getting the longer vehicles and such, a higher capacity, that was the air conditioner from out there, a higher capacity streetcar comfortable rail system to get from point A to point B, and that provides hopefully some connection to MAX or other major bus lines. These are meant for the really high ridership lines and are meant to be a comfortable ride. You may have seen these in my recent video on the 2022 Portland streetcar future, where I went over a lot of my opinions for future streetcar lines. This list here is in no particular order, but yeah, these are just some of the lines. So Trimet was looking into some other FX lines for additional routes, and they made a post. Hopefully I'll remember to link it, and hopefully I'll remember where I found it. But they went over some other lines that they would consider getting FX buses on. And I'll put some of those here. It was a bit interesting. And I hadn't even discovered this until actually really super recently. It was more recently than when I made the script for this video. So let's see how many of these match up with my ideas that I came up with. So I had the 72 on Killingsworth and 82nd, but I would say at least the portion on 82nd Avenue. I guess Killingsworth Street might be able to, far enough down the road, get a streetcar line or extension, or at least just get 60-foot buses, because I know that portion gets pretty busy too, but not as busy as the 82nd Avenue portion. 57, TV Highway, Forest Grove. 54, Beaverton Hillsdale Highway. The 12 on Barber and Sandy Boulevard, but that's only if the Southwest Corridor Light Rail project does not get built. And the 20 on Burnside and Stark. So really, that actually lines up fairly well with Trimet's ideas, although Trimet added the 33 on McLaughlin, which does not really make sense to me because the Max Orange line already goes along McLaughlin Boulevard for a decent ways. I would say just extend the Max Orange line to Oregon City, and I think you would get higher ridership that way. I don't really see the appeal of the BRT line. And if it's to connect all the way from the river or whatever over to the east side so that you can connect with Clackamas, you can already do that on the Division FX line. It serves the Division Street Green Light Station. I would say that one would definitely hold off for later. So how come I chose FX for these and not light rail? Well, it's for a fairly simple reason, actually a few reasons. Some of these are incredibly long, like the Line 20. Line 20 is Trimet's current longest route, going from Beaverton all the way to Gresham on Barnes Road and Burnside and Cedar Hills Boulevard briefly, and Stark. It's very, very long. And same deal with some of these others. A lot of these run on highways, and it would seem kind of weird having a streetcar line in a highway where you're meant to be going fast. I want you right now to picture if TV Highway had streetcars running on it. Not only would that look weird, I just don't... that wouldn't seem right. That this doesn't feel like the right, most fit solution. Same deal with, okay, 82nd Avenue, maybe. That one, maybe. But TV Highway, Beaverton Hillsdale Highway, and heck, Burnside and Barnes Road and all that, it doesn't seem like the right fit. I think some of Burnside in the downtown Portland stretch and reaching out on Sandy Boulevard, like my SB line on Sandy and Burnside, I think that's fine for a streetcar. But having the whole Line 20 as a streetcar, no, I don't think that's needed. That's too long. And I do think that light rail could work here for, say, going under or maybe elevated over a highway or whatever. But that's when things start to get really costly. And also remember that light rail is meant to be quite high capacity compared to a bus, because you have two 90-foot long train cars coupled together. Alright, and one last thing, one last opinion, and that is frequency. BRT, Bus Rapid Transit. A good BRT system is one that is frequent, and after all, FX is in the name, Frequent Express. 12 minutes is an okay start, but I would really like to see no worse than 10 minutes every day, all day. Now, I've mentioned my frequent service tiers before, and I'm going to do it again. That's tiers, not tiers. Tier 1 would be just standard 15-minute service. This would be your base level frequent service. And I'll give you a small hint. Right now, all the buses that are currently on the frequent service network would not be a part of it. It would be newly incoming frequent service lines. The existing frequent service lines would be bumped up to Tier 2. This would be 10 to 12 minute frequency, and I would say all of these routes would get 60-foot buses. I'd also say these could possibly get overnight service because Portland is severely lacking in that way, as well as hopefully traffic signal priority to help speed these frequent lines along. And then tier 3 is FX service, and this would be better than 10 minutes ideally. I would say the worst FX lines are ones that would run every 10 minutes. Ideally, you'd maybe have them run every 8 minutes. And these would have all the elements of a standard BRT system, and this would include extra buses during the rush hour to run as frequently as potentially every 4 or 5 minutes. All FX lines should run 24 hours a day, with 45 to 60 minute frequency between the hours of 1 and 4 a.m. I think that would help people get where they need to go quicker. It's supposed to be enhanced bus service, so let's make it enhanced. So again, the tiers. So tier 1 would be 15 minutes. That's 4 buses per hour. That's not terrible. You normally don't just show up to a bus stop and have to wait the full 15 minutes. Hopefully, if you're lucky, you will have gotten there not right as one left. So you might only have to wait, 4 or 5 minutes. 4 buses per hour. Tier 2, 10 to 12 minute frequency. Well, at 12 minute frequency, that's 5 buses per hour. And 10 minute frequency is 6 buses per hour. Tier 3, having 8 minute frequency, gives you 7 to 8 buses per hour. That is a considerable increase. Not as considerable when you double it during the weekday peak and run the buses every 4 minutes. That is 15 buses per hour. That is a lot. But with that being said, that all comes in time. I know improvements will be made. They've already been made over the last 2 decades with the amount of frequent service lines and just service quality getting better. And it will continue to do so, of course. But that'll be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and join me on Sunday, September 18th for when the first FX line officially opens.